In Tagalog, to write is MAGSULAT, but it is also ISULAT and SULATIN, and there's SUMULAT. Why so many? What's going on? Kumusta po kayo? Welcome back. Let's continue our journey in learning a beautiful language, Tagalog, the language of the Philippines. In my last video, I have started talking about Tagalog verbs. I have introduced you to 3 verbs which are the Tagalog equivalents of the verbs to write, to read, and to eat. I talked about 2 versions of each of those verbs based on the focus of those verbs. If you have missed that video, I highly recommend that you see it because this session will make more sense if you have seen the last video. Cool? In this video, I am going to dive deeper into one of the verbs I talked about in my last video. Today, I will focus on one of those verbs, the verb based on the root word sulat, meaning write. But before we do that, please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and please hit the bell notification button so you will be updated of new contents that I will be coming out regularly. If you feel that I am going too fast, you may pause the video and rewind to the point you need to check back to. Cool? So, tara, simulan na natin. Always remember that in Tagalog, verbs start with root words. Verbs are formed by combining a root word with affixes. There are many combinations producing several versions of a verb. Verbs are conjugated according to aspects and not tenses. Verbs behave according to focus system. For now, I will only tackle verbs under the actor focus and object focus. Please also remember that subjects for actor-focused verbs are group 1 personal pronouns and subjects for object-focused verbs are group 2 personal pronouns. Alright, now let's get to know the root word sulat. Sulat as a root word means write. It is the root word used to describe a writing instrument, pansulat, like ang lapis ay isang uri ng pansulat. Pencil is a type of writing instrument. Ang ballpen ay isa ring uri ng pansulat. Ballpen is also a type of writing instrument. It is also a noun which means letter, mail, or correspondence. This other meaning will play into our study of the Tagalog versions of the verb to write. The root word sulat is also the imperative form. Well, one of 2. You can use it as a command. Sulat! Write! It's rather unpolite. Now, to create a verb, we combine the root word sulat with an affix, which we have several. Mag, ma, in, e, and an. Incidentally, these are the names of some of the main verb groups like the verbs, mag verbs, in verbs, etc. With the formula of combining the root word sulat and the different affixes, we can now have the most basic form of a verb, and that is the infinitive form. Tagalog has several versions of the infinitive verb to write. Please take note of the placements of the affixes, represented by the yellow letters. The many versions of the verb to write in Tagalog are SUMULAT, to write. It also means to correspond with or to write someone a letter. MAGSULAT, to write something. MASULAT, to be able to write. This is more of a regional version and not commonly used, so I won't dig deep into this version. Just be aware that it exists. SULATIN, to write what a person intrinsically has or owns. ISULAT also means to write what a person intrinsically has or owns. Sulatan, to write on something. It also means to correspond with or to write someone a letter. All of these verbs have something to do with the act of writing. The infinitive form is also the second form that you use to command or to request. Let us use them in simple sentences making a request. Please note that the following examples are in the verb, subject, object, or VSO form, which is the more casual and natural sounding sentence structure in Tagalog. Sumulat ka ng libro. Write a book. Magsulat ka ng libro. Write a book. Both verbs are used to convey the act of writing something. Like, sumulat ka ng pahayag. Write a statement. Magsulat ka ng pahayag. Write a statement. Sumulat ka ng nobela. Write a novel. Magsulat ka ng nobela. Write a novel. Sumulat kayo ng report. Write a report. Magsulat kayo ng report. Write a report. The verb sumulat also means to correspond with or to write someone a letter. For example, sumulat ka kay Tess. Write a letter to Tess. There is a second version that does the same thing. Sulatan mo si Tess. Write Tess a letter. The same verb can be used when you are writing on something. Sulatan mo ang papel. Write on the paper. The last two versions are interchangeable. For example, isulat mo ang damdamin mo. Write your feelings. Sulatin mo ang damdamin mo. Write your feelings. These verbs are used when the object that is being written is something that a person inherently has or owns, like opinion, sagot, pangalan, edad, tirahan, telepono, etc. As you can see, some of the verbs are used the same way. Some are in fact interchangeable. There are very slight and often negligible differences, and I myself, as a native Tagalog speaker, struggle to pinpoint those differences. Some of these have regional or dialectical origins that have crept into everyday Tagalog. Now, let's take a look at these verbs with different aspects. As I have explained in my previous video, Tagalog verbs are conjugated according to aspects and not tenses. Let's begin with the progressive aspect or nagaganap. Please note the placements of the affixes represented by the yellow letters. The white letters are duplicates of the first two letters of the root word sulat, S and U. Please take note of their placements too. Here goes. Sumusulat ako ng mga libro. I write books. Use sumulat when you are stating a fact. The speaker here is most probably a writer. Nagsusulat ako ng libro. I am writing a book. Use nagsusulat when you want to emphasize the action that you are doing at the moment. It's the same thing with the next verb. Sumusulat ako kay Tess. I am writing a letter to Tess. This verb is an actor-focused verb, which focuses on the actor or the doer of the action, the act of writing. The actor or the doer here is the subject, ako or I. Got it? Sinusulatan ko si Tess. I am writing Tess a letter. This verb is an object-focused verb. As such, it focuses on the object of the action, the person whom the subject is writing a letter to, who is Tess. So, Tes is the object of the sentence, hence is the focus of the sentence. There is a second use of sinusulatan. This is to write on something, like sinusulatan ko ang papel. I am writing on paper. Let's take a look at the next set of verbs. Isinusulat ko ang damdamin ko. I am writing my feelings. Sinusulat ko ang damdamin ko. I am writing my feelings. Both versions of these verbs are interchangeable. Like I said a while ago, these verbs are used when the object that is being written is something that a person naturally has or owns. Now, let's try the completed aspect na ganap. This is when the action has already occurred, hence the action has been completed. Please take note of the placements of the affixes represented by the yellow letters. Sumulat ako ng libro. I wrote a book. Nagsulat ako ng libro. I wrote a book. Sumulat ako kay Tess. I wrote a letter to Tess. Sinulatan ko si Tess. I wrote Tess a letter. Sinulatan ko ang papel. I wrote on the paper. Isinulat ko ang damdamin ko. I wrote my feelings. Sinulat ko ang damdamin ko. I wrote my feelings. Ayos ba? So far so good? This time, let's move on to the contemplative aspect or magaganap. This is when the action has not yet occurred or is not currently occurring. Again, please take note of the placements of the affixes in yellow letters and the reduplicated letters in white. Susulat ako ng libro. I will write a book. Magsusulat ako ng libro. I will write a book. Susulat ako kay Tess. I will write a letter to Tess. Susulatan ko si Tess. I will write Tess a letter. Susulatan ko ang papel. I will write on the paper. Isusulat ko ang damdamin ko. I will write my feelings. Susulatin ko ang damdamin ko. I will write my feelings. The last aspect I will discuss is recently complete or katatapos. This is when the action has just occurred some short time ago in the past, hence the action has recently been completed. The great thing about this aspect is that there is only one conjugated form for all of the verbs. It is formed with the prefix ka, followed by the reduplicated letters S and U, and then the root word sulat. You now have the verb kasusulat, just wrote. Here are our examples. Kasusulat ko lang ng libro. I just wrote a book. Kasusulat ko lang kay Tess. I just wrote to Tess. Kasusulat ko lang sa papel. I just wrote on the paper. Kasusulat ko lang ng damdamin ko. I just wrote my feelings. Ayos ba? Are you still with me? Admittedly, Tagalog verbs can look complex at first glance. It will take more than just a YouTube video to completely explain Tagalog verbs. This channel's goal is to provide you with a point of reference that can guide you. With practice, you will be able to get the hang of it. The key really is to go out there and speak with your Filipino friends or partners. They will be more than happy to help you. If you think this video has been helpful, please click on the like button. That will help grow this channel tremendously. And I will really appreciate if you do click the like button. In my next video, I will dig deeper into other root words like basa, read, and kain, eat. I hope you will catch those. I will see you then. Maraming salamat po at hanggang sa susunod.